Okay, good morning, New Zealand, and welcome to another episode of Turn the Page. I'm going to, again, as we always do, we're going to start off by playing you a piece of music that is in keeping with the theme from today. I'm not even going to tell you what the song is. You should probably know it. It's very, very well known. So, with no other introduction, here is the first song I'm going to play. All right, that was the first song I played. Like I said, I'm not going to tell you what it is because you should know that one. The first story today, we're doing something very, very, very different today, and something not as old as I've been reading about recently as well. This can't be old because this is the year I was born. So October 1982 came the news that many had been looking forward to. American fast food giant Kentucky Fried Chicken was to set up in Masterton. Then began the long process of securing a site and getting a build underway. The site chosen was the corner of Crane and Chapel Streets, which had been a fashion store and the Ministry of Transport vehicle testing station. An agreement was made with the Masterton Trust Lands Trust to build the new restaurant. It was said the new restaurant would seat 52 patrons, have parking for 21 cars, and would create 6 full-time and 15 part-time jobs for a region that was struggling with unemployment. It was not a decision that was met with universal approval. There were 6 objections raised at the Masterton Borough Council Town Planning Committee meeting, which had been held in June. The council upheld its decision to allow the build to go ahead. Masterton firm Dixon and McKinlay Limited landed the $302,000 tender to construct the new eatery, and construction began on the 21st of February. It would be owned by the Masterton Trust Lands Trust and was to be leased to the Kentucky Fried Chicken for a 20-year period. The concrete foundations were poured in the second week of March, and the build progressed according to schedule. In May, the fast food franchise began to advertise for the jobs that they needed to fill when the restaurant opened. We are offering job opportunities to those individuals who are dedicated, highly motivated, reliable, and able to work under pressure. At the end of the advert, they added, "People afraid of hard work need not apply." It did not deter people from wanting a job. Over 200 turned up for an interview. There were 30 jobs up for grabs, just 5 being full-time. Official numbers at the time showed there were 1,105 unemployed persons in Wairarapa, the highest number since statistics began to be taken in 1977. The big day came on Tuesday, the 28th of June, 1983. Masterton's Kentucky Fried Chicken was officially open for business, and business was good. The paper ran a captioned photograph that stated the new restaurant opened quietly in Masterton with no fanfare of trumpets, but a steady demand for its products. The products that were on offer were a little bit different to what we have today. The prices certainly were. One piece of chicken and a side of chips would set you back $2.50. A 5-piece pack was $4.50. A 15-piece family box was $12.20. For those a bit hungrier, a 25-piece bumper box was $16.30. And for the truly starving, a 50-piece party hamper was $47.50. The sides included chips, starting at 75 cents, bread rolls, which were 32 cents, a reminder of when we still had one, and, well, when we still had 1 and 2 cent coins. Potato and gravy was 50 cents, and for dessert, a cheesecake for 65 cents. For those who were more healthily inclined, coleslaw and bean salads were 50 cents each, and something that was once common on the menu, corn, which was 80 cents. The restaurant prospered and was... who wrote this? The restaurant prospered and was the only of the... Well, I wrote this, but I'm having a hard time understanding this bit. The restaurant prospered and was the only of the large American fast food giant for nearly 9 years until the Golden Arches set up in town in 1992. For nearly 4 decades, people have been able to get their fix of fried chicken and chips at the same location. The numbers of its customers have remained strong, proving that their hunger for Colonel Sanders' 11 herbs and spices recipe remains finger-licking good. Okay, I will now move on to a second song. Why has that not worked? Bear with me a second here, I'm fighting with the computer. Okay. Nope, that's not right. Bring it back. Okay, here is my second piece of music in the theme of what we are playing today. You've probably worked it out now. If you haven't before, you will certainly now. This is the great ZZ Top.
grass is not too blue.
And that was ZZ Top doing TV dinners, because it was sad that we lost Dusty Hill the other year, which was, of course, left a huge hole. Apparently Elwood is doing a very, very good job filling in his huge shoes. He actually, I saw this video, he brought out a 17-string bass guitar and played that. I mean, that's insane, 17 string. I struggle with 4. Right, to our next story. As we finished off with our previous one, we talked about the Golden Arches, so we are now going to talk about them now. So for 9 years, KFC enjoyed being the only major fast food franchise in Masterton. In 1992, that all changed. In September of 1991, the Times Age ran a story titled McDonald's Sign Deal. In this article, it was announced that the fast food giant was coming to Masterton. A piece of land on the corner of Chapel Street and Lincoln Road was purchased from the Masterton District Council. McDonald's property manager, Pat Hedges, said that the construction was expected to begin in June the following year and the restaurant would be open by Christmas. At that stage, the closest McDonald's restaurants to Wairarapa were in Upper Hutt and Palmerston North. Husband and wife team Tony and Angela Rowland were awarded the owner and operator rights for the new restaurant in June. By late July, Masterton firm Rigshock had been awarded the building contract and construction of the new establishment began. As progress continued, business owners started to become concerned about the newcomer. It was feared that sales for local fish and chip shops and cafes would suffer. But in the words of one cafe owner, you can't go past cakes and pies, can you? A rumour that became rife within the community was that the new McDonald's was being built at only half its originally planned size. A mix-up with plans for a live-in restaurant was one of the reasons blamed for this. Masterton District Council's senior building inspector Maurice O'Reilly put this to rest, showing the media that the plans submitted were the ones being used for the build. Leading up to the opening, staff were on site for training, perfecting their skills for when they would be serving the public. A week before opening, students and staff from St Patrick's and Masterton West schools were lucky enough to be invited for a complimentary lunch. Later that afternoon, 60 senior citizens from the region were also invited for a meal. The big day came on the 3rd of November 1992, when McDonald's Masterton opened its doors to the public. It had taken 4 months to build, created 30 jobs, and had the distinction of being the 60th McDonald's to open in New Zealand, and was now one of 13,000 worldwide in 62 countries. Even before the doors opened, a large crowd was waiting outside. On that first day, between 4,000 and 5,000 visitors came to the restaurant, and over 4,000 burgers were sold. Owner Tony Rowland said that the sales had exceeded all expectations, and despite many still claiming that the restaurant was too small, there wasn't a time when a diner couldn't find a seat. In the months following the opening, staff numbers, which were originally thought as too high, proved the opposite. More staff had to be hired to keep up with the demand. Nearly 40 staff members were working full-time and 1 year after the store opened, each working close to 40 hours each. The Rowlands were enthusiastic about allowing people to have their first working experience with them. This provided a sound platform from which they could then move on to their next job. The Rowlands were also involved with the local sports teams, encouraging reading programs for children and donating money towards Ronald McDonald House, and were a valuable addition to the community. 1 year after opening, there were 67 McDonald's stores throughout the country. The Masterton McDonald's had proven itself to be an example where the restaurant could operate in a town with a smaller population. The locals had embraced it, and traffic continued to be high. This was especially true with children's birthday parties. Television advertisements showed how much fun birthday parties could be at the Golden Arches. Families now no longer had to travel out of the district. Tragedy struck in May of 1994 when Ronald McDonald was kidnapped. As the Times-Age reported, after many adventures around town, he was finally delivered into the long arms of the law by an alert Armour Guard security patrolman. After a brief stay in the police senior sergeant's office, he was returned to his perch outside the restaurant unharmed. McDonald's Masterton was a success. Adults and children throughout the district had embraced the newest member of the fast food family and were loving it. Okay, on to our third piece of music now, and it is not Hans Zimmer, although this particular person did train with him and has worked with him quite a bit, so we're Hans Zimmer adjacent, but the title is very, very appropriate. This is Barbosa is Hungry from the Pirates of the Caribbean soundtrack. abruptly ends, but I think that track flows on to the next one. And as much as I would love to play the whole soundtrack of that, I probably can't. I'll go into someone else's time. So that's pretty much me for today. We're sort of finishing slightly early. I may have to banter a bit more in between songs. So that was, I'll banter about this one. That was Klaus Badelt. So he trained with Hans Zimmer originally. As far as I heard, when the Pirates of the Caribbean soundtrack offer came up, Hans Zimmer was interested, but was so committed to other projects, he got his friend Klaus Badelt to come in and do it, and he did a brilliant job. He also did the soundtrack to the film Ned Kelly, which also starred Orlando Bloom, and it's, again, very brilliant soundtrack. Maybe I should have a soundtrack show. Let me know if you want to hear that. So that's pretty much me for today. Obviously, you've probably worked out, given all the clues, that today's theme was sort of around food and eating. And of course, those of you still wondering, the first track I played was Green Onions by Booker T and the MGs. It's been in so many movies and TV ads and all sorts of stuff. But again, brilliant, brilliant track. And of course, I am not going to finish without torturing you with a piece of brilliant, fantastic humour. So this one, I went through a whole bunch, and this one was by far the best relating to food. That was, acceptable for radio. Why couldn't the sesame seed leave the casino? Because he was on a roll. I can hear the groans from here. That's a brilliant, brilliant joke. So yes, I'll be back Monday. I will try and ponder and have a think of another theme. I've got a couple that I can probably do. I may have to do one or two that don't have themes, because a few of them are sort of standalone. So I was like, I don't know how I'm going to tie that in. So we can do that, and we'll have a bit of fun, maybe play some strange music to go with it. So yes, have a brilliant week. Keep dry, keep warm, and we will catch up with you again on Monday. Have a brilliant, brilliant week.